ever thought of getting your product into local shops and maybe even nationwide shops? Wondering how to start wholesaling? Well, today we're talking about getting started with wholesaling and the wholesaling process. I'm Natalie Henry Charles, and welcome to the Great Charles Adventure. So today we're talking about something very important to me and very important to my business, and that is wholesaling. Wholesaling is something that I think a lot of makers overlook. We get so wrapped up in doing the direct to customer sales. We get so wrapped up in our website and Etsy and all of these other platforms. We also get wrapped up in, let's be honest, markets. Markets take a lot of time for makers, and I don't think people understand how much prep work goes into attending a market and selling directly to customers. So today we're going to talk about getting started with wholesale. Wholesale has something that has pivoting in my business just for the simple fact that before I was only going to markets. I was only selling directly to my customers. Once I started wholesaling, I realized that there was an entire area of my business that I was not touching. I was leaving money on the table, and I didn't realize how much money I was leaving on the table. So today we're gonna get started with wholesaling. This is just the very basics. There's a lot that goes into wholesaling, but I want you to feel empowered to know that you can start wholesaling and that it doesn't take that much effort. So the first thing that I would say is education. Education, education, education. No, I'm not talking about going to college. I'm talking about educating yourself on simple wholesale basics. You don't want to go into this looking like a total noob. You want to go into this looking professional and feeling professional, because again, that will empower you to pick up more accounts. So the first tip that I would say is education and educating yourself. A great resource for people who are looking to start wholesaling is Proof to Product. Katie has an amazing program called, well, it used to be called Trade Show Bootcamp, but she just recently rebranded it to Proof to Product. And so the TSBC alum group is an amazing group. She teaches you the basics of wholesaling, but she has gone beyond trade shows. That was the first product that I purchased from her, and I'm now in her monthly group for people that are just have any type of business, not only greeting cards, but any type of maker, any type of product-based business. And I think it's very important to find a coach that is a product-based business, because service-based businesses and product-based businesses are completely different, and the approaches are different. I don't care what anyone tells you. No matter what these coaches try and sell you, make sure they know about product-based businesses. It's important, I'm telling you. So that was the first out of 5 tips. The second tip I would say is inventory. Making sure that you're prepared for wholesale. I know a lot of makers go into markets, they'll make something or a certain amount of items the week ahead, and then they sell through their inventory for their market. That's great, but you really want to be prepared inventory wise if you decide to go wholesale, because you might have one thing on the shelf, one item on the shelf, and then a wholesaler or a retailer wants to purchase something and they might want to purchase 20 units. What would you do? So I would look into production, and besides production, I would look into inventory. Make sure you have enough inventory. For greeting cards, the standard is about 50 per SKU. When I first started, I started with less than that. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I think I started with like 20 per SKU. But I quickly learned that that is very difficult to maintain, because you're gonna constantly be you're gonna constantly be ordering things. You're gonna constantly be paying for shipping, maybe depending on who your production person is. You don't want to do that. So the best thing to do is to invest in the inventory. I know it can be expensive, but depending on what type of product you sell, it doesn't have to be. So the third thing that we're going to talk about is your terms. You want to make sure and have set in stone terms for your retailers. I learned this the hard way yet again. have my terms outlined, and you know, these retailers, not that they're like evil people or anything, but they're gonna want to get the most that they can out of the order. So if that includes free shipping, if that includes, you know, maybe not following your minimum order quantity, your mock, if that includes maybe mixing SKUs to meet that, you know, that mock, no. Have your terms outlined. You're gonna thank me later. It's gonna make things a lot easier. And if you find the industry standard for whatever you're selling, in my industry I sell greeting cards, so the minimum order quantity is typically around 6 per SKU. So they can buy as many SKUs as they want, as long as they meet my minimum, and as long as it's 6 per SKU. So they can't order 3 of each SKU. They have to order 6 cards of one type, if that makes sense. Let me know in the comments down below if I explained that correctly and if you understand, because I don't mind expanding on that, because that was something that was kind of confusing to me in the beginning too. So terms are very important. You want to make sure that you have a solid return policy. You want to make sure that you have a solid shipping policy. What happens if the package gets lost in the mail? What happens if the package arrives wrecked? These are all things that you want to consider and think about before you start wholesaling. If you start wholesaling locally, I can tell you from experience that these things don't matter as much, because with my local accounts, I mean, like, I kind of spoil them, but with my local accounts, I mean, I drop it off. I, you know, go into the shop and take the order in. So there's no shipping, there's no like package maybe getting wrecked. There's no lost packages. It's literally me delivering to my local shops. So maybe you might want to think about starting local and then kind of growing to the rest of the United States and then outside of the United States. But I can tell you from experience, it's best to have these policies in place, especially if you're going to start wholesaling nationwide, because you're going to have a lot of different shops contacting you and reaching out to you to carry your product. If you're doing your marketing right, you're going to have these people contacting you. So you want to have set in stone, you know, policies. And beyond that, you don't want to tell one retailer one thing and then tell another something else, and then you get them mixed up, you know. So that's the best thing to do, is have that set in stone. The fourth thing that I want to talk about is catalogs. Catalogs are a love-hate relationship. I have a catalog. It's something that you have to update every single year, and it's definitely been mixed emotions. I love my catalog when I look at the finished product, but doing it is a whole nother beast. Again, in your catalog, you want to make sure that you have your terms of purchasing for your retailers. You want to make sure you have pricing for everything. You want to make sure that you have minimum order quantities of every single SKU. And if you have different types of items, so like I carry tote bags, and the minimum for that is different than my greeting cards. So higher priced items, my minimum is going to be a lot lower than my lower priced items. Lower priced items are going to be a higher minimum. That's just how it works. But you want to make sure and have your catalog, because when you start reaching out to people, it's great to send your catalog as like, I mean, I don't send my catalog to everybody. I'm gonna start right there. Catalogs are very expensive. I pay about $250-ish in that area per one, and then to also ship it, I pay like another probably like $2 to $3 depending on where it is in the United States. So you want to make sure that you are sending those out strategically. Maybe you reach out to them first if you're in, see if they're interested in carrying a new line, see if they're interested in your line, and then you can proceed with a catalog. But you want to have a catalog, because I know a lot of people, and I'm like that too. I don't have a retail shop, but when I'm purchasing things, I like to see it. I preferably like to feel it. I like to, you know, turn the item over in my hands and see, you know, if I like the quality. So a catalog is a really great opportunity to kind of seal the deal with a wholesaler or a retailer. And catalogs are very important, or you might also hear it called a line sheet. Line sheets are also pretty typical in the industry. I don't have a line sheet because I think it's just too much to update both items. I have 180 SKUs, which I'm trying to narrow down, but each design is like my baby, so it's hard for me to narrow things down. But 180 SKUs is very difficult to like maintain on all of my platforms. So I have my website, I have an Etsy, I have a Fair Wholesale, I have I'm starting a Tundra, and also I have my catalog, and then like a line sheet I just thought would be too much, so I don't do a line sheet, I just have a catalog. And that's because I'm visual. I know a lot of other creatives are visual, and so it's easier to me for them to just see the product, see exactly what the minimum is, and that way they can order. Boom, boom, bam, done. No stress for anyone. So I only have a catalog, but a lot of people have both, or some people only have a line sheet. The decision is up to you. So the final thing that I'm gonna say is number 5. The final tip is promotion. You want to promote your wholesale line regularly. I know that it's very hard, especially on social media, to like continuously promote yourself, but you want to keep putting it out there that you are wholesaling. You maybe want to put it in your Instagram profile and like all of your social media that you do offer wholesale. On your own particular website, you do want to also say that you do wholesale. Maybe have a separate tab for it, have some forms that maybe kind of get them started so that they can apply. And the way I do it is I'm personally on fair.com. It's a wholesaling platform. Like I said, I'm going to start a Tundra, which is along the same lines, but I just haven't gotten around to doing it because I'm just busy, okay? So, you know, wholesaling is a wholesale platform is going to help you because they have their own audience. There used to be Etsy Wholesale back in the day. They closed that down. I know there's also another organization called Stockable. They kind of like tried to replace Etsy, but I'm not on that platform anymore because they started charging, and I got on Fair and it was free. I'm not gonna lie. And I love Fair. Fair, we've butted heads a couple of times, but it's always been a situation where we've been able to figure it out. Fair has their own audience. It does come at a commission, but the way I look at that is that would be like if I had a rep. If I had a rep, I would have to pay a lot of upfront costs and then still pay them on top of that commission to sell for me whenever they sold. So I'm not really concerned about the commission with Fair. I think it's fair, no pun intended. I think their commission is fair, and you know, it's a great way to manage your wholesale. So they've been rolling things out, especially with the pandemic. They've been rolling out new features like crazy. So, you know, it's even becoming like more of a one-stop shop for wholesale. So you want to make sure that you're promoting, and you want to make sure that you're promoting that wholesale. I promote on Fair, and the way I do that, they don't have paid advertising or anything yet. I think it's coming, but I just send out emails. I have an email list for wholesalers. I keep people informed there. I try and point them as much to my Fair as possible, and the more that you sell on Fair, the higher that you're gonna rank in their search. So the more orders that are coming in, the better for your visibility on there. So the whole point is to bring people to the platform, you know, and that's what I've been doing so far. We started wholesaling seriously last year in June, and we have about 25 retailers that carry our product nationwide. So we're still growing. I'm not an expert, but you know, I'm definitely learning, and it's something that I'm realizing deserves my time and effort, because you know, there's a significant income from it, you know. And when I look at the month to month on that, and I see this is how much money I've been leaving on the table every single month for 3 years, you know. So it's definitely something to look into. Those were my 5 tips. I hope that you found them helpful. I'm gonna link Katie and Proof to Product down below. The reason why I purchased Katie's products is because I have 2 kids. I don't have time to search. But if you have time to search, awesome, you know. So start there. and start growing your wholesale, because we have seen that, you know, in-person events are kind of not a thing right now. So where do you turn? How do you switch that around? How do you continue to make an income when you're not attending local markets and events and pop-ups? You know, we have to make sure that we are empowering ourselves within our business to do more and to dream bigger and do better for our business. So I hope that this was very helpful for you guys. We're gonna have a lot more videos on wholesaling, on my studio days, on when I go to work, how I pack orders and things like that. So if you feel like you're interested in that type of content, definitely hit the subscribe button. I would love to have you. And you know, beyond that, we do some lifestyle type things, because I am a mom of 2 and I am a work at home mom. So I know that the struggle is definitely real for some of us, and we're gonna just be touching on that on this channel. So thank you again for watching. I really appreciate your support. Thank you again for staying all the way to the end. And if you don't have anything else to do, why not watch another video? I mean,